Imagine waking up one day and realizing the person you loved most had been secretly stealing from you. Not once. Not twice. 4 years. The house we dreamed of? Gone. The life we built? A lie. And worse, he forged my name, buried us in debt, and gambled everything away, behind my back. I was about to lose everything, until I found the proof. And now? I'm going to tell you exactly how I took him down. I'm Claire. I'm 31 years old. I'm an interior designer. I run a small studio and focus mostly on private residential projects. It's what I've loved doing since college, creating beautiful spaces, helping clients bring their dream homes to life. It's a creative world. Very different from the numbers, spreadsheets, and financial side of life, and honestly, that stuff has never been my strength. That's where Ethan always came in. Ethan is my husband. We've been married for 5 years, together for 7. On the surface, and for a long time in my heart too, we were a really good match. Ethan runs a chain of eco-friendly coffee shops. Super stylish spaces, lots of warm woods, natural lighting, reclaimed furniture, green plants. The kind of place you'd see all over Instagram. He built the business himself, started with one shop, then expanded. Now there are 5 locations in the city. He's charismatic. Everyone loves him, customers, employees, friends, even my family. He can work a room like no one I've ever met. I've always been more introverted, happy to let him shine while I focused on my projects. It always felt like we complemented each other. I brought creativity and design, even helped him design some of his cafes. He brought business savvy and handled the financial side of our lives. We had a good system. When we got married, we sat down and talked about how we wanted to divide responsibilities. It was practical, no drama. I would focus on the creative side of things, my studio, my clients, running the design projects. Ethan would handle the household finances, paying bills, managing savings, tracking our investments. Don't stress about the money, he used to say. You have enough to deal with. I've got it covered. And I believed him. Why wouldn't I? We had a good life. We also had a shared dream, buying a house by a lake in Oregon. A place we'd visited a few times on weekend getaways, peaceful, surrounded by nature. We talked about it constantly. A house with big windows, a garden, space for my studio. Lazy mornings by the water. 3 years ago, we got serious about saving for it. We opened a joint savings account specifically for the future house. I contributed a portion of my project income regularly. Ethan handled the deposits and tracked the account. It felt like we were really building something together. Looking back, it's almost surreal how much trust one gave him. At the time, I thought we were solid. People around us saw us as a power couple. Stylish, ambitious, supportive of each other. If anyone had told me back then that everything was going to fall apart, that he would betray me in a way I couldn't even imagine, I never would have believed it. But life has a way of showing you what's really going on, when you least expect it. For a long time, life with Ethan really did feel good. Stable. Like we were building something together. We both worked a lot, but in different ways. My projects were deadline-driven, design proposals, site visits, client meetings. Ethan's days were chaotic but flexible, managing the cafes, dealing with vendors, training staff, planning new locations. We'd often joke that we were both married to our businesses as much as to each other. But we made time for each other. Friday nights were always ours, no work, no emails, just dinner and a movie or wine at home. Sundays we'd take long walks, usually by the river, sometimes through open houses or design fairs. I loved to drag him to those. And in the background, always, the dream. The lake house. We'd saved Pinterest boards for it. Talked about which town we liked best. Debated floor plans. Sometimes on lazy mornings, we'd lie in bed scrolling listings on my iPad, imagining what we'd do with each space. And the joint savings account for it, that was sacred, in my mind. Every month, I'd transfer part of my earnings from my studio. Ethan always told me he was doing the same. Occasionally, I'd ask how the account was doing. "Great," he'd say, smiling. "We're on track. You really don't have to worry about it, babe. I'm keeping a close eye on it." And I believed him. Why wouldn't I? We were a team. If anything, I admired how naturally he handled the financial side. He seemed so organized about it, always knew when bills were due, which accounts were earning the most interest, how to optimize for taxes. Meanwhile, I couldn't even remember half my app passwords. When tax season rolled around, he handled most of it. We filed jointly. I signed where he told me. He was always patient about explaining the forms, even though I barely understood half of them. I remember once joking, "If you ever wanted to steal from me, I'd be helpless." He'd laughed. "Good thing I'm on your side, then." And at the time? I believed that, too. We weren't perfect, of course. No couple is. But we were good. Or so I thought. The idea that he could betray me, that the trust I'd built everything on wasn't real, it never even crossed my mind back then. And that's what makes everything that came later so hard to process. One memory stands out now, more than the rest. About a year ago, Ethan suggested we spend a weekend near the lake in Oregon, the area where we'd always dreamed of buying a house. "Let's go check out a few towns," he said. "Even if we're not ready to buy, we can get a feel for what's out there." It felt spontaneous and exciting. We spent 2 days exploring, visiting open houses, walking through neighborhoods, taking photos of homes we liked. One evening, sitting by the lake, Ethan squeezed my hand and said, "We're closer than you think." I believed him. After that trip, we made a plan. I picked up extra projects to help grow our savings. Every time I transferred money into our joint account, I felt proud, like we were building something real. I still trusted Ethan completely. He handled the finances. Whenever I asked how things were going, he'd smile and say, "We're on track." And I believed him. Back then, if anyone had asked, I would have said my marriage was solid. We had shared goals. We worked well as a team. I had no idea how wrong I was. After that trip, life got busy. Ethan's coffee shop business was growing fast. Within a few months, he opened the 5th location. He was out more, meetings, vendor calls, managing staff. It made sense. The business was scaling. I was proud of him. I was busy too, new clients, more design projects. My studio was doing well, and I liked having steady work. Our routines shifted a little. We used to have regular Friday night dinners, but those started getting rescheduled. Sometimes Ethan would come home late, tired. Other nights he'd have meetings that ran long. "It's just a hectic season," he told me. "Once things settle, we'll get back to normal." I didn't question it. Expansion is stressful. I understood. We still talked about the lake house sometimes, though less often. When I asked how the savings were coming along, Ethan would say, "Still on track. Just trust me." And I did. Looking back, I can see how easily those little changes crept in. At the time, none of it seemed unusual. We were both busy, working toward our goals. Or so I thought. The next few months were a blur of work for both of us. Ethan's 5th coffee shop opened that fall. The opening party was a big event, local influencers, vendors, tons of friends. I helped design the space, warm woods, big windows, vintage furniture. I was proud of it. That night after the party, Ethan wrapped his arm around me. "Couldn't have done this without you," he said. I remember feeling really happy in that moment, like we were building something real, together. But after that, Ethan got even busier. There were new investors involved, and suddenly he was having late-night meetings, out-of-town trips, lots of business dinners. He was tired a lot, more distracted. Our Friday nights became hit or miss. Sometimes he'd cancel last minute. "Sorry babe, emergency with the supplier," or "investor call ran over." I understood. Growth takes work. But it wasn't just his schedule. Our conversations changed too. Before, we'd dream together about the lake house, send each other listings, talk about what kind of kitchen we wanted. Now when I'd bring it up, Ethan would brush it off. "The market's crazy right now," he'd say. "Not a good time to buy." Or, "Let's focus on the business for now. The house can wait a bit." Again, logical. The economy had been unpredictable. But still, it felt different. Like something had shifted. One night, I asked, "Are we still adding to the savings?" Ethan smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Of course. I've got it handled. You don't need to stress about it." I nodded and let it go. But for the first time, a little voice in the back of my head whispered, "Why is he being so vague?" I told myself I was imagining things. We were both under pressure. Maybe I was just tired. But that voice didn't go away. And over the next few weeks, the feeling only grew stronger. By winter, things between us felt off. Not dramatically. But not quite right either. Ethan was still working nonstop. He'd leave early, get home late. Even on weekends, he was always handling something. I barely saw him some weeks. At first, I chalked it up to business stress. His fifth location was having staffing issues. He'd vent about unreliable employees or supply chain problems. I listened, supported him. But something else started to creep in. He got more protective about money. We used to go over finances together once in a while, not formally, but enough that I felt in the loop. Now, when I'd casually ask how things were looking, "Hey, how's the savings coming?" Ethan would wave me off. "Don't worry about it," he'd say. "It's complicated right now with the business. I'll explain later." One day, I tried to log into our joint savings account, just curiosity, not suspicion. But the password had been changed. I asked Ethan about it that night. He looked annoyed. "Oh yeah, the bank made me update it. I'll give you the new one later. It's just a mess right now with all the transfers." But he never did. That was the first moment my stomach really dropped. Still, I didn't want to overreact. We'd always trusted each other. Maybe I was reading too much into it. But then small things kept happening. Our joint credit card got declined at the grocery store one afternoon. Embarrassing. I texted Ethan about it. He replied, "Oh weird, must have been a bank glitch. I'll fix it." A week later, it happened again, this time at a client lunch I was paying for. I asked Ethan again that night. He looked irritated. "Claire, I told you, it's fine. You don't need to micromanage this." That word, micromanage, stung. I wasn't trying to control him. I just wanted to understand what was going on. But at that point, the easy openness we'd always had about money was gone. And I couldn't shake the sense that he was hiding something. I wanted to believe it was temporary. Business stress. A cash flow problem he didn't want to worry me about. But deep down, the doubt was growing. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday. I'd spent the morning at a client site, a big remodel I was excited about. Came home around lunchtime, ready to catch up on emails. There was a small stack of mail on the kitchen counter. Ethan usually handled most of it, bills, statements, but I always flipped through just in case something was for me. That's when I saw it. A thick, official-looking envelope. No logo. Just important, open immediately, stamped across the front. Addressed to Ethan, but sent to our home. Without really thinking, I opened it. We'd always opened each other's mail, never been a thing. As soon as I unfolded the letter, my heart started pounding. It was from a collection agency. $42,000 in debt. On a credit line I had never heard of. I read the letter again and again, hoping I was misunderstanding. But it was clear. Ethan owed $42,000, and the account was seriously overdue. My hands were shaking. I sat down at the kitchen table, the letter spread in front of me, trying to process what I was looking at. How was this possible? Ethan always said everything was fine. We were saving for a house. I wanted to believe there had to be some explanation. I texted him, simple, "Hey, something came in the mail for you. We need to talk." He replied right away, "I'll be home around 6. Don't worry, it's nothing." But by then, I knew better. I waited the whole afternoon, nauseous with anxiety. Couldn't focus on work. Couldn't think about anything else. When Ethan finally walked through the door, I was sitting at the table with the letter in front of me. I didn't say anything. Just handed it to him. He went completely pale. Ethan stood there holding the letter, frozen. For a moment, he didn't say anything, just kept staring at the page like he could will it to disappear. Finally, I asked, voice low, "What is this?" He swallowed hard, still pale. "It's temporary. Business expenses. I've got it under control." That was it. No apology. No real explanation. Just a quick excuse like this was some normal hiccup. I stared at him. $42,000? On a credit line I've never heard of? How is that under control? He set the letter down, running a hand through his hair. "Look, I didn't want to worry you. The new shop ran over budget. I needed to cover payroll. I was going to pay it back." I felt like I was in a fog. The words didn't match the man I thought I knew. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "It wasn't the right time," he said quickly. "You've got enough on your plate with your projects. I didn't want to stress you out." That line, "I didn't want to stress you out," made something snap inside me. I wasn't some clueless partner who needed protecting. I was his wife. We made financial decisions together, or so I thought. I pushed the letter toward him again. "Is there anything else I don't know about?" He looked down. "No. That's it. Just this. And it's being handled." But the way he avoided my eyes. I knew he was lying. I felt sick. For the first time in our marriage, I wasn't sure I could trust anything he was saying. That night, I barely slept. Ethan acted like it was no big deal, kissed me goodnight, said he'd take care of it. But something inside me had shifted. The trust I'd built everything on was cracking. And I wasn't going to ignore that gut feeling anymore. The next day, I went through the motions. Client calls, emails, site planning, but I couldn't focus on anything. My mind kept circling back to that letter. $42,000 in debt. He lied to me. And he's still lying. That night, Ethan came home late again. "Busy day," he said casually. "Didn't get a chance to deal with the letter, I'll call them tomorrow." I nodded, pretending to believe him. But inside, I'd made a decision. If he wasn't going to tell me the truth, I was going to find it myself. After he went to bed, I sat in the living room for an hour, thinking it through. Ethan was old school in some ways. He kept paper records, actual folders, filing cabinets in his home office. I used to tease him about it. Now, I was grateful for it. At around midnight, when I was sure he was asleep, I slipped into his office. It felt wrong. Invasive. But the moment I opened the first drawer, that guilt vanished, replaced by pure adrenaline. The first few folders were business-related, vendor contracts, payroll records. Then I found a folder marked personal. Inside, printed checks from a local bookmaker, thousands of dollars in bets. Statements from cryptocurrency exchanges, large transfers in and out. PayPal receipts to online casino sites, some marked as urgent. Page after page. Tens of thousands gone. I sat there, hands trembling, flipping through each document. This wasn't business debt. It wasn't some payroll issue. he was gambling. And he had already drained huge amounts from our joint accounts, the very money we were supposed to be saving for our home. I don't even remember how long I sat there. When I finally put everything back, it was almost dawn. I crawled into bed next to Ethan, who was sleeping soundly, unaware that I now knew the truth. I stared at the ceiling, heart racing. What do I do now? By morning, I knew one thing: I couldn't handle this alone. I couldn't unsee what I'd found, the gambling, the drained accounts, the lies. And I couldn't confront Ethan yet. Not without a plan. There was only one person I trusted to help me think clearly: my cousin Emily. Emily's a lawyer, sharp, calm, no drama. We've always been close. I knew if anyone would tell me what to do next, it was her. That afternoon, while Ethan was at work, I called her. As soon as she picked up, I broke down. I whispered, I think Ethan's been stealing from me. She was quiet for a beat. Okay. Tell me everything. I poured it all out: the letter, the office files, the gambling, the missing house money. When I finished, Emily didn't hesitate. Claire, this is serious, she said. You're looking at fraud. If he's used your accounts, or forged anything, you could be legally tied to his debt. That thought made me nauseous. What do I do? I asked. First, she said, you don't confront him yet. If you go at him now, he could panic, hide assets, drain accounts, disappear. You need to be smart. She laid out a plan. White heavy checkmark: open a personal account at a separate bank, immediately. White heavy checkmark: copy every document I could find, bank statements, credit reports, anything that showed where the money went. White heavy checkmark: set up credit monitoring to catch any new activity. White heavy checkmark: prepare legal notices, but don't file anything yet. We need rock-solid proof first, Emily said. Once we have it, we hit him hard. But you can't tip your hand. I was shaking, but I nodded. Okay. I'll do it. That night, I lay awake next to Ethan again, pretending, calculating. I knew now, I wasn't just protecting myself financially. I was preparing for a fight. The week leading up to the trip felt unreal. By day, I kept acting the part, making conversation, talking about Ethan's business, even letting him show me new mock-ups for another potential cafe. By night, I was meeting with Emily and her tech contact, finalizing everything. The plan was airtight. I'd book an Airbnb about 30 minutes away, far enough to be safe, close enough to monitor. We'd install legal monitoring on our joint accounts. I still had authorized access. Ethan's laptop, which he often left connected at home, would have activity tracking, also legal, since I was a joint owner on the home network. Meanwhile, I made the conference as believable as possible. Printed an old badge from last year's event. Left it on my dresser where Ethan would see it. Mentioned packing for Seattle in casual conversation. The night before I left, Ethan actually looked relaxed for the first time in weeks. It'll be good for you to get away, he said, giving me a quick kiss. I'll work on catching up on the finances. That line almost made me laugh, the irony was suffocating. The next morning, I packed a suitcase, just enough to sell the story. Ethan offered to drive me to the station. On the way, he held my hand on the console. I'll miss you, he said, smiling. I had to look out the window so he wouldn't see the rage in my face. At the station, he kissed me goodbye. Text me when you get to the hotel. I nodded. Of course. As soon as he drove off, I pulled out my phone and texted Emily, on my way. She was already waiting at the Airbnb when I arrived, laptop open, files ready. You did great, she said as I walked in. Now we watch. We set everything up. Monitoring on the joint accounts. Ethan's device notifications. Alerts for large transactions. By late afternoon, we were live. And we didn't have to wait long. That very evening, just a few hours after I left, the first notification hit my phone. Large transfer to a cryptocurrency exchange. 15 minutes later. Bet placed through an online bookmaker. I sat there staring at the screen, pulse racing, hands cold. He didn't waste a second. While he thought I was in Seattle, attending lectures, networking, he was already gambling again. Emily looked at me. We're getting exactly what we need. I nodded, heart pounding. I want every single move recorded. And inside, a new thought was building. He thinks he's safe. He thinks he's won. He has no idea what's coming. By the second night at the Airbnb, I was wired. I hadn't really slept since getting there. Every few hours, another notification would pop up. Crypto transfers. More gambling bets. Another joint account withdrawal. It was worse than we expected. He wasn't just using his personal funds. He was still draining our house savings. The worst moment came late that second night. I was sitting with Emily going through the day's transactions when my phone buzzed, a text from Ethan. Babe, just checking in. How's the conference? Everything going okay? I stared at it, heart pounding. He was being friendly. Normal. No guilt. No hesitation. I forced myself to wait 20 minutes, to seem casual, then replied. Good so far. Long day, heading to bed. It made me sick to type it. Then, just as we were shutting down for the night, another curveball. Emily's phone buzzed. It was her contact monitoring Ethan's laptop activity. He just logged into a new account, she said. What kind of account? I asked, pulse spiking. Another crypto wallet, one we didn't know about. Just created it an hour ago. I felt a chill run through me. He's moving money, Emily said. He knows something's coming. My stomach dropped. Did he suspect me? Did someone warn him? Was this all about to unravel? We spent the next 2 hours tracking the new wallet. Another unexpected detail, he had also logged into a loan application site, a new one. It looked like he was trying to take out another personal loan. He's desperate, Emily said grimly. That's a sign he's running out of liquid cash. The timing was tight now. We had enough proof, but if he moved everything to anonymous wallets or piled on more debt, I'd be trapped in the legal mess for years. We may need to accelerate, Emily said. We'll finish pulling the evidence tomorrow. You should call him as soon as we freeze the accounts, before he can move more. I sat there, heart racing. I want to hit him when he thinks I'm still gone. Emily nodded. Exactly. But even as we planned, I had one sickening new thought. What else is he hiding that I haven't found yet? By Sunday morning, the pressure was suffocating. Neither Emily nor I had slept much. The transactions were still rolling in, more crypto transfers, more gambling bets, and that new loan application Ethan had started late the night before. He's bleeding money, Emily said. We have enough. We need to move fast. We spent the morning compiling everything. Full transaction records, timestamped. Screenshots of the new crypto wallet. Proof of unauthorized withdrawals from our joint account. Copies of the forged loan application, with my name listed on a co-signed line I'd never approved. That one nearly made me throw up. He was forging my signature again. This is identity theft, no question now, Emily said. We file tomorrow first thing. We agreed on the plan. Early Monday, Emily would submit legal requests to freeze the joint accounts. I'd send fraud reports to the bank and credit agencies. Once confirmed, I'd call Ethan and drop the hammer, while he still thought I was in Seattle. But just when I thought we had everything locked down, another curveball hit. Around noon, my phone buzzed, a new text from Ethan. Miss you. Thinking of coming up for a night, maybe surprise you at the hotel tomorrow if I can swing it. I froze. Emily leaned over. Oh no. That could blow everything. If he showed up at a non-existent conference hotel, found out I wasn't there, he'd know the trap was set. He could panic, run, or wipe accounts before we froze them. My hands were shaking as I typed back. "Ah, that's sweet, but no need, crazy packed schedule, barely in the hotel except to sleep. Plus I've got early morning panels." Seconds ticked by. Finally he replied. "Got it. Just miss you. Can't wait for you to get home." I let out a breath, but the window was closing fast. "That was too close," Emily said. "We have to hit first thing in the morning." We finalized everything late that night. I packed my things, ready to move the second we filed. By the time I crawled into bed at the Airbnb, one thought consumed me. Tomorrow, this ends. One way or another. Monday morning. I barely slept, maybe 2 hours, if that. My nerves were shredded, heart racing, stomach in knots. This was it. Emily arrived at the Airbnb just after 6 a.m., hair in a tight bun, legal folders under one arm, laptop in hand. "You ready?" she asked. I swallowed hard. "As ready as I'll ever be." At exactly 8:01 a.m., Emily filed the legal requests. Freeze on our joint accounts. Fraud alerts with all 3 credit bureaus. A formal report to the bank's fraud department, including proof of forged documents. A legal notice prepared for Ethan, one that would hit him hard. By 9:15 a.m., the freezes were confirmed. Ethan couldn't touch another cent. Emily looked at me. "Your turn." My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone. I called him. He answered on the second ring, sounding chipper, casual. "Hey babe. How's the conference?" I took a breath. "Ethan. We need to talk." A pause. Then his tone shifted. "What's wrong?" I kept my voice cold. "I know. About everything." Another pause, longer this time. "What are you talking about?" he asked, but there was a tremor now. I didn't let him play dumb. "The gambling. The crypto. The forged loans. The drained savings. The stolen money. You've been lying to me for months, years. And just so you know, the accounts are frozen. The bank knows. The fraud reports are filed." Dead silence on the other end. Then, finally, a stammered, panicked voice. "Claire, wait, I can explain." "No," I cut him off. "You can't explain. You chose this. You destroyed our future. You stole from me. And you're going to face the consequences." He started babbling, excuses, apologies, begging, voice rising in desperation. I didn't mean to, it got out of control. I was going to pay it back. "Please, Claire, just give me a chance to fix it." I felt ice in my veins. "There's nothing to fix," I said, voice flat. "The lawyers are involved. The authorities will be too. You don't get to gamble with my life anymore." He started crying then, actual sobs. It would have broken my heart once. Now? I felt nothing. I ended the call. Emily looked at me, calm and steady. "You did exactly what you needed to do." I nodded, shaking, but resolute. The fallout came fast. By noon, Ethan had tried to access the frozen accounts, failed. Then he called me 8 times in a row. I didn't answer. By 2 p.m., his mother, who adored him and had always seen us as perfect, texted me in a panic. "Claire, what is going on? Ethan is saying you've frozen everything and are trying to ruin him." I replied simply. "He stole from me. He forged my name on loans. He drained our savings. I have proof. I'm protecting myself. No sugarcoating. No excuses." Later that afternoon, Ethan showed up at our house, pounding on the door. I wasn't there. Emily had insisted I stay at the Airbnb another night while we filed for protective orders and served the legal notice. That night, through mutual friends, I heard the rest. Ethan was unraveling, panicking, blaming me, telling anyone who would listen that I'd overreacted. His business partners had found out, they were furious. Several had already cut ties. His personal credit cards were maxed out. His reputation, in both the local business community and our friend circles, was crumbling fast. Word spreads quickly in this city. It's been a whirlwind since. The legal process is underway. My name is being cleared from the forged loans. The house savings? Gone, but Ethan will be held accountable for the theft. The lake house dream? Destroyed, for now. But one day, I'll build a new one. Without him. I've also filed for divorce, with full legal backing. There's no going back. I still wake up some mornings in disbelief. That the man I trusted, built a life with, could lie to me so deeply, for so long. But here's what I know now. I will rebuild. I will protect what I've created. And I will never again ignore that little voice inside me. To anyone reading this, trust your instincts. Protect yourself. Love should never require blind trust. As for Ethan? He thought he'd buried the truth. He thought I'd never fight back. He thought he could steal my future and walk away clean. He was wrong.